Hello and welcome to the tutorial video of replacing the A7L board on a CGO2 or CGO2 Plus camera. The first step is to remove the sticker on the right side of the camera, covering the screws that secure the side plate to the camera. You could use either a sharp hobby knife or carefully use your fingernails as demonstrated on the other side for your reference. Remove the two screws that hold the right side plate to the gimbal arm and set them aside. Next, remove the 4 screws on the right side that holds the camera frame to the gimbal arm. Now we'll remove the 4 screws on the back of the camera. These screws are located in the 4 corners and use a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. We can now remove the front cover that surrounds the camera lens. Do this by pulling the bottom of the cover straight out. 3 additional tabs around the lens should then be removed carefully by light pressure. The antenna is then pulled from the mounting slot by pulling it straight out, just enough to clear the slot. Gently remove the front cover away from the back, making sure to guide the antenna through the opening. Do not pull on the antenna wire, as this can cause damage to the solder joint or the connector. Remove the 4 screws securing the back cover to the camera frame. Rotate the camera and gently guide the wires to give some additional room to remove the back cover. The cover will not come off completely, but it can be moved aside to expose the A7L board. Remove the 3 screws securing the board to the camera frame. Next, we'll remove the ribbon cable from the A7L board by gently lifting up on the locking tab using a hobby knife or your fingernail. Be careful when pulling the ribbon cable, as these can be fragile if not handled carefully. There is a second ribbon cable on the back side of the board. Carefully rotate the board over and remove this cable in the same fashion as the first. We can now replace the board with a new board. Keep in mind that the side of the board with the brass counterweight should face the outside of the camera housing. Plug in the first ribbon cable on the back side of the board. Make sure the lock is in place. Flip the board over and connect the remaining ribbon cable, making sure to lock it in place. Now replace the 3 screws securing the A7L board to the camera frame. Use the screws that we removed earlier for this. Replace the rear housing, making sure to guide the wires properly around the gimbal arm. Work the camera frame back into the rear cover gently and secure the camera frame to the back housing using the 4 screws you removed earlier. Now we want to make sure to tuck the wires down into the camera housing to make sure they don't get pinched when installing the front housing. Now, place the microphone into the front housing, pushing it down to secure it using a screwdriver. Be careful not to rip any of the wires when performing this action. Now route the antenna through the front housing, once again being careful not to pull too hard on the antenna wire. Line up the front housing to the rear. It should snap into place when correctly aligned. Then, using the 4 screws, secure the front housing to the rear. Flip the camera over and locate the slot that secures the antenna. Place the antenna into this slot to hold it in place. We will now install the front cover. Do this by securing the 3 tabs around the lens first, then slide the bottom tab into place. If the tabs around the lens come out, gently press them back into place. Next, we will then secure the camera frame to the gimbal arm using the 4 machine screws you removed earlier. Now we want to make sure the wires are out of the way and push back into the gimbal arm. Once done, secure the side plate using the 2 screws and attach the sticker covers. When applying the sticker covers, make sure the text is parallel with the gimbal arm. This completes replacing the A7L board on either a CGO2 or CGO2 Plus camera.